Welcome back to another episode of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, brought to you in partnership with Primetime Production. Today is episode 30. I can't believe we're already 30 episodes in. It's gone so fast. Kind of just going through all the guests we've had today, and just extremely grateful for these 30 episodes. Obviously, starting off in June, it's been a crazy road where this has taken me, and just extremely grateful to be able to do this and talk to some of the best players in the world. And again, crazy to think today's episode 30. Feels like literally just yesterday that we started, my first episode. So a lot to get to today. Kind of want to keep it a little bit brief just because we have a awesome interview with University of Denver's alternate captain, Massimo Rizzo, who sits number one in the NCAA in points, having an unbelievable year, talking about his time with Denver, what that community is like, playing for head coach David Carle, his relationship with, his buddy Jack Devine, who's also ripping it up right now. Zeev Buium, another a freshman there. Just talking about what it's like playing with those guys and what it's like being a part of that University of Denver team. Obviously, a wagon right now, sitting fifth in the NCAA, ranked fifth, 15-5-2. They're having an unbelievable year. You got to think they're, definitely going to compete for a natty this year. I definitely have them going to the Frozen Four. They're a fun team to watch. Any chance I get, I try to watch the Pioneers. But first things first, I want to start off with a tweet just today. Spit and Chicklets kind of tugging at Bruins fans' heartstrings about, Patrice Bergeron potentially making a comeback. The rumor boys, Biz, Witt, RA, just talking about the fact that Bergeron might be coming back, and man, immediately you see that, and our boy Petrov on Twitter immediately retweets the Bergeron's back, and that dude literally makes me laugh with all his tweets. I think it's crazy. I mean, is it crazy to think about, right? The fact that Patrice Bergeron could potentially make a comeback. I mean, the way that things ended last year, did he think that this team was going to be as good as they are? And who knows? I don't think it's completely unrealistic for him to. They mentioned, he's been skating, which, is understandable. He wants to stay in shape. He wants to, there was word that he wanted to stay in shape for the alumni game, but as Biz alluded to, I don't necessarily believe that either. I mean, obviously he wants to stay in shape, but I think it would be insane, and honestly, he'd be welcomed back with open arms. And I think this Boston team could really use him, right? The stability he provides, the leadership. I mean, he's one of the best captains to ever play. All-time leader in Selke trophies. This would be a huge add. I don't think there's any addition that this Bruins team could make, whether when talking trade deadline, that would be bigger than adding Patrice Bergeron back into this lineup. I think, yeah, there's no trade that they can make. I mean, and that includes Elias Lindholm, right? What are we going to have to give up at that point to get Lindholm, right? What are we going to have to give up to get a Noah Hannafin, some of these big names that, their names are circulating around the rumor mill? What are we going to have to give up? Because I think at this point in time, the Bruins really need to stop trading away all their assets, especially their draft assets. A lot of these drafts are passing by, and I think this upcoming draft, especially, I've talked about it on previous episodes, is a very deep draft. Even if they're picking in the mid-20s, low 20s, this is a very high-value draft where they can grab a player that will make a significant impact on this team. I just, again, be able to add Bergeron, you'd be signing him, right? You'd have to make the money work, but you're not necessarily giving up assets at that point. This again, for for the Chicklets guys to kind of put this out there, and most of my followers and who I follow are obviously Bruins Twitter, so it just absolutely exploded today. Um, it just went insane, and it got me thinking too. Like, if this team were to add a Bergeron, I mean, you got to think they're serious cup contenders. I think they already are at this point. They're having an awesome year. I would say they're overachieving, um, based on where people thought that they would be starting out the year. I mean, they had two huge losses at center, David Krejci and Bergeron. They lost every single one of their acquisitions that they that they got from the trade deadline last year. Tyler Bertuzzi, Dmitry Orlov, Garnet Hathaway. Um, they brought in a lot of very low risk, high reward players. Obviously JVR is having an awesome year. My guy, on my favorite player, obviously on the team, ripping it up right now. Danton Heinen, Kevin Shattenkirk, and we're getting production from the young guys too. Freddie's having an unbelievable year. Just overall really exciting, and I thought it was really funny to see that tweet. I never thought in a million years that we'd even be talking about Bergeron. I thought he'd be that type to just kind of retire and that's it. So it remains to be seen. What an ad that would be for this team, for this Boston team. Not only just on the ice, but off the ice. His leadership, former captain, and just obviously to be able to plug him into the center role. But yeah, shout out Biz, shout out Wit, RA, Rumor Boys, getting Bruins Twitter going. It was extremely entertaining today, to see just the Twitter space explode, with Bergeron talking. I'm here for it. I think he'd be a great ad. It's whether or not he wants to, come out of retirement and play the rest of the year and make a playoff run, help the team make a playoff run. So going to pivot a little bit. Another guy that's retired now, an absolute legend, former Bruin, Sharks legend, Joe Thornton. Next year they're going to be retiring his number 19, and couldn't agree more. I think this is a no-brainer for this Sharks team, what he meant to that organization with Patrick Marleau, among others. But they're going to be retiring his number 19 in 2024, 2025. They haven't determined a date yet for the ceremony. But yeah, I think, like I said, he spent 15 seasons of his 24-year career with the Sharks. Started off with the Bruins, obviously as the first overall pick in 1997, playing 8 years there. 8 years with Boston, then he spends the next decade with the Sharks. He was the face of that franchise along with Patrick Marleau, won 4 division championships and a President's Trophy, and made 1 Stanley Cup final appearance in 2015, 2016. I think he's one of the players. I mean, obviously Iginla is up there. There's so many players that you just wish won a Stanley Cup, that didn't, right? And he's one of those guys. He just seems like the ultimate glue guy. Every single person that you've heard on TV or whatever that talks about Joe Thornton said that he's the ultimate teammate. You never hear anything bad about him. Obviously, Joe won the Hart Trophy and the Art Ross in 2005, 2006, 2006. And he's the Sharks' all-time leader in assists and power play points, second in points, and fourth in goals. So I mean, he's up there for pretty much everything. He's literally one of the best playmakers, I'd say, that of our generation. I mean, that I got the chance to watch. I mean, he was unbelievable, of how big he was and just how well he saw the ice, the ultimate playmaker. Um, going and he absolutely deserves to have that number retired. It was a no-brainer. It was just a matter of when it's going to happen. And like I said, looks like it's going to happen next season. Date to be determined, but man, I'll definitely be tuning in to to see Jumbo Joe have his number 19 retired. Some other news across the league. News that I thought could one of the bigger moves that I thought could happen, right? Um, a little bit of turmoil at the beginning of the year when it came to, contract extension. Um, and just a lot of question marks as far as what is going to happen with this guy, and that's Tampa Bay Lightning Steven Stamkos. And it came out earlier from actually yesterday from Lightning GM Julia Brisebois that Stamkos is going to remain with the team through through this season. They have a March 8th deadline where they have to extend him. It's been a popular topic. Um, it's been one of those question marks for this team, right? Like, what are they gonna do with him? He turns 34 next month, and he's in the final year of his 8-year deal. That carried a salary cap hit of 8.5 million AAV, which seems like a player of his caliber, although in some injury concerns or issues throughout the years, was a steal for this team. Brisebois had opened up this season training camp, saying right off the bat that he wasn't going to negotiate with Stamkos until after the season, and he stands firm on that. He had mentioned earlier that after this season, after whatever, they're going to sit down and try to hammer this thing out, and it looks like they're going to stick with that. And he's one of those guys, Stamkos is, that I can't see him on another team. Like, it's just going to look weird. I think obviously I think he would be a huge asset to any team that he goes to. I think he's still an effective player. It's just a matter of what a team is willing to give him. Being that he's turning 34, he's kind of on the down slope of his career. We'll see. I mean, I honestly hope they can make it work to where he stays with Tampa. Because I think he's another one of those guys. I just brought up Jumbo Joe with San Jose. Well, that's what I think of with Stamkos and the Lightning. Like, he is the face of that team, has been. Obviously, they were successful in the days of Marty St. Louis, Vinny Lecavalier, Dave Andrechuk, those guys. But Steven Stamkos, he was drafted first overall in 2008 when this team was not good. And now he's tied for 35th in NHL history with 533 goals, and then also got 564 assists, over 1,000 points, 1,097 points in 1,044 career games in his 16-year NHL career, which I mentioned all of which with the Lightning. 7-time All-Star. And he helped this team win consecutive Stanley Cup titles in 2020 and 2021. So we'll see. I mean, this kind of was, I was curious. We did know that, they were going to wait on contract talks till the end of the year, but for, Brisebois to come out now and say that he's going to remain with the team, it kind of gives you hope, right? That they're going to be able to hammer something out and they're not going to just ship him off for whatever. It seems like they really want to try to sit down and hammer something out, hammer out a deal, an extension to to keep him a Lightning forever. So we'll see. I mean, what that number is going to look like. I mean, who knows? Can't imagine it's going to be anywhere near, what he's making now. Obviously, I'd probably say like half of that, if not less. But yeah, that remains to be seen. the next item on the agenda that I wanted to bring up were these All-Star Game jerseys, and my God, I thought they were bad. You know, Ryan Whitney brought up that they look like they should be on a cereal box, but I think these are more like they just seem very animated, and I feel like this is a design that's going to be really loved by kids, that follow hockey. For me, they don't really do it, but no one asked me, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Not a huge fan of them. Um, hopefully, hopefully, I think this is obviously for the kids, and I think this is, it's a cool little thing. It's I'm sure the kids love those, and um, remains to be seen. I mean, I'll definitely be tuning in for that. Obviously, we're not going to see Connor Bedard in that All-Star game. As I'm reading right now, he's already back on the ice, which is pretty cool to see. I mean, we always knew that he had a knack for the ice, and he's loves the game of hockey. It reminded me of Big Z's Zdeno Chara when he broke his jaw and he came back out, and guys like that just love the game. They eat, breathe, sleep the game of hockey, and they want to do whatever it takes to get back out there. And gotta respect it. Gotta respect the hell out of Connor Bedard, and after taking that hit by Brendan Smith, which again was a clean hit, just an unfortunate injury. Never want to see anyone never want to see anyone break their jaw, hit like that. I think, obviously I don't think Brendan Smith had the intention to injure Bedsy, but I think that whole play just went very how the game of hockey should play. I think it was a good hard hit. I think Nick Foligno's response is exactly what should have been done. Obviously, when your star player gets hit, the refs let him go. They handled it like men. They handled it like professionals. Brendan Smith answered the bell, and that was it, right? Nothing else had to be done. They kept the game in control. And now, we're seeing Bedsy back on the ice. So that whole thing, it just worked out, Obviously, you want to see Bedsy recover, well. I was a huge fan of that play. Just not the hit itself. I think, like I said, it was a clean hit, but just the way that the refs kind of let that play out. Allowing Foligno to stick up for his teammate, Brendan Smith answering the bell. I think that's how hockey should be played. And that's it for that. Some other news. Vegas Golden Knights forward Jack Eichel is week to week. He had lower body surgery. He was hurt in Thursday's 2-1 overtime win against his hometown Boston Bruins, and he left in the second period, returned in the third, and scored in the third as well. And right after the game, Coach Cassidy, next practice, Coach Cassidy had mentioned that, Jack's going to miss a little bit of time. He's having a great season. 19 goals and 44 points in 42 games. He's been a really, really good player for that Vegas team. So wish Jack a speedy recovery. And yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of these past episodes have been a lot of World Junior talk. Covered the entire tournament. So kind of just getting back in the swing of things, a little bit of a routine, doing week to week stuff. The big notes hitting on, we got the trade deadline coming up. Obviously the All-Star game's coming up, so it's going to be cool to follow that. I definitely don't want to get away from, the college hockey talk, because the college hockey talk is my favorite thing. Also got some other really exciting news to talk about. And that is that I'm going to be launching a new PWHL page It's going to be a podcast, as well as a highlight page posting all PWHL stuff. And I feel like this is just another opportunity to grow the game. I was really excited when they announced this, the PWHL. I think, having two sisters that, both played sports collegiately, at a high level, it's something I really care about. And, always getting to go watch them, whether it was play hockey or, softball, field hockey. It was definitely one of the highlights of my childhood, going and being able to support them and watch them. So yeah, the PWHL is something I really want to hone in on and focus on, along with Drop the Mitts. It's going to be a continuation, but I wanted to be able to do a separate entity of professional women's hockey. I think there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of extremely gifted players. I mean, anyone who's followed, just to name a few, the Hillary Knights of the world, Alina Mueller, just from Boston, being a Boston dude. I mean, that's who I get to watch. Obviously, Marie Poulin, Sarah Nurse, Kendall Coyne Schofield, just to name a few. I mean, there's endless amounts of talent in that league. So again, yeah, really excited to announce that going to be dropping PWHL Zone. So toss us a follow. All our handles are going to be just all caps PWHL and then capital Z for Zone. And I'm going to do the best I can to post all the highlights I can, and going to be working on finding a co-host, preferably going to do my due diligence and just try to find the best fit for someone who wants to talk PWHL hockey. Again, someone who cares about it as much as I do, and just wants to overall grow the game. I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to grow the game for everyone, and for these girls that are now going to be looking up to these professionals, and hopefully getting more the younger kids to play the game of hockey, because it really is the best game in the world. And that's my goal here, is to grow the game as much as possible, and get their names out there and these highlights. And yeah, it's super exciting. Obviously we're still working on logistics of things. We've got our logo that I'm going to be releasing here. By the time this drops, I'm going to have already dropped the logo. So, and I'm going to be just asking for topics. I think, I really want to do a interactive thing where being able to answer questions of, fans and fans of the PWHL, and just, talk hockey, talk all things hockey. So yeah, that's one of the really exciting things I was really fired up to announce. So if you get a follow or whatever from PWHL Zone, just know it's me. We're building this thing from the ground up, and I'm so excited for it. Definitely going to be devoting a lot of my time to this, as well as Drop the Mitts, and it's something I really care about, is bringing content and bringing doing my part to spread the game of hockey. There's so many great content creators out there that are doing the same and trying to grow the game and get their brand out there. So I think this is a really good opportunity to talk PWHL hockey. That pretty much does it for this episode. Really, really excited. I mentioned earlier, we have from the University of Denver, alternate captain Massimo Rizzo. He's lighting up the NCAA right now, him and his teammate Jack Devine. This Denver team is unbelievable. Coached by David Carle, extremely well coached team, historic program, the tradition they have, the players that have gone through there. Really fun team to watch. They're ranked 5th in the country right now, 15-5-2. And I mentioned for Rizzo, he's sitting at 9 goals, 25 assists for 34 points, which is good for top in the NCAA, and then fifth in points per game. And I mean, he's sitting behind a Macklin Celebrini, Colin Graff, who's an unbelievable player for Quinnipiac. So yeah, I mean, we talked all things college hockey, talked about the Denver program, what they mean to him, and just their success over the past few years. It was cool. I completely forgot that I was in the building for when they won the national championship, beating Minnesota State 5-1. I mean, they were an absolute wagon. Unbelievable team. So without further ado, I bring you from the University of Denver, alternate captain and center Massimo Rizzo. Thanks, guys, and take care. Welcome back to another edition of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, brought to you in partnership with Primetime Production. Today we have an awesome guest from the University of Denver, the NCAA leading scorer right now in points, Massimo Rizzo. Riz, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, can't thank you enough for coming on. And obviously, you guys are having an unreal year, ranked at number 5 right now. You're putting up unreal numbers again, just like you have the previous 2 years. You guys sit at 15-5-2 this season. Like I mentioned, ranked number 5. What would you say are the most significant factors in your team success?
Yeah, I mean, coming into this year, we had 10 new freshmen, and Matty Davis is going to be our starting goalie this year. So I think everyone was a little excited. It was definitely going to be a learning process early on for all the new guys, but I think it just speaks to our coaching staff and our depth, and everyone on our team buying into the process and the way we play in Denver. And I think it's shown over the last many years, just the culture and tradition that Denver has, that we're always going to be a good team and always contending.
Yeah, I'm kind of gonna go out of order here. What is it like to play for head coach Dave Carle? Obviously, he's got an unbelievable resume. He's a Denver guy through and through. He's been there for all these years. You won the Natty. You guys beat Minnesota State 5-1. Won a Natty with him. What's it been like playing under Coach Carle?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. He's an unbelievable coach. Our whole coaching staff's really amazing through and through. But DC knows a lot about the game. He's a very personal guy. He connects with his players well. Like, he's easily approachable and personable. And I think it's just his nose for the game's second to none. And he's a younger guy. He kind of gets the new wave of the game, and he allows you to play out there like you're going to make mistakes, and he knows, and he lets you be creative and try things in our team system. And so I think he's just got a good balance of everything, and knowing what it takes to win games.
Yeah, again, that year you guys won the national championship. I mean, it was unbelievable year. I got to watch, honestly, you guys won in Boston, so I got to go and watch. And Minnesota State had that goalie having an unbelievable year. He was the talk, right? Like, and you guys come in and put up 5 against them and won pretty convincingly. What was it about that team that was so special, and what was that celebration like after you guys won?
Yeah, I think everyone on that team, our belief was we could win the national championship. We had such a tight team, like on the ice, away from the rink. We all hung out together. Like, it was a pretty special team in that sense, where everyone was so close, and I think that helped us on the ice. But yeah, coming into it, we played Michigan, and all the talk was about all their first round picks and all their stuff and stuff like that. And once we got through them, it was Minnesota State, and everything happened so quick. And being in like the Boston arena with all the fans, and it was probably the coolest game I've ever played so far. But yeah, it speaks to everything we learned throughout the season, and coming together as a team, and just enjoying that experience.
Yeah, you mentioned being in Boston playing at the Garden. Your fans travel really well. Like, they were bumping in there. You guys had a good amount of fans travel to Boston. What is it like playing in that barn It seems like, Denver's obviously, you got the Avalanche and you guys being as good as you are. What's it like playing in front of that fan base?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's just the tradition and culture at Denver.
Yeah.
Even our alumni are amazing. Like guys who come through the program, they're always giving back to our team, and whenever you meet them around, they're always coming to say hi to you. And I think it's pretty special that once you play there, you're always a pioneer.
Yeah.
We had all the fans come out, and it makes it cool for us, even in our family section and stuff like that. They had the chance going right beside the bench, so it was cool. Once we won, it was a special moment. Have the trophy. You're kind of taking photos of the fans behind the glass and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that made it really cool.
What would you say is aside from your home arena, the Garden, obviously that you just mentioned you played in, what would you say is the craziest barn? Whether it be the craziest, your favorite, aside from your home rink.
I think the craziest rink to play in is probably Western Michigan. I mean, they got the nickname the Lawson Lunatics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's always fun going in there. Even for warm up, they got the whole student section filled already, and they got photos of guys' girlfriends up, and they're all giving
Oh
them
man.
and stuff like that. So, like I said, like you don't really need a coffee or anything to get into that game because once you
Right.
still go for warm up, you're already juiced. So, that's probably my favorite rink to play in so far.
So kind of going back, pivoting to this season specifically, you currently sit first in college hockey in points. You got 9 goals, 25 assists for 34 points. Your previous 2 years were unbelievable as well. 2021, 2022 in 39 games, you had 36 points. And then last year it was 46 points in 38 games. What would you contribute most to your personal success? And then again, like what is it about the fit, right? You being in Denver's program that's been able to make you so successful.
Yeah, I think it helped coming into college a little bit older, and then coming in with DC and stuff, just putting me in a good spot where I was able to succeed. And I've played with some really good line mates over the years, and our teams had a lot of success, which obviously helps me be successful on the ice as well. So I think it's just been a good balance of playing with good guys and coming in and being confident, and the coaches allowing me to kind of play my game within the system and kind of do what I do best. And I've been pretty fortunate to be successful and have the team around me be pretty successful as well.
Yeah, another thing you mentioned, you had 10 freshmen coming in. Obviously, to play Division I hockey is unbelievable, for these freshmen, but most notably one that's been making a huge impact on your team is Zeev Bouillon. Freshman defenseman having an outstanding season. 5 goals, 22 assists. What's it been like seeing him and playing against him in practice and just kind of seeing the things that he does, on a day-to-day basis? And then obviously with him playing in the World Juniors, were you a little conflicted watching, the United States and obviously you being a BC guy?
Yeah, I mean, to start off, Zee's obviously a really special player. Coming in, like he's got his older brother here, Shai, who's also another amazing defenseman. So Zeev coming in, he came in really confident, really skilled, unbelievable with the puck, and his footwork is the best I've seen. So, I mean, guys coming out at the blue line, he makes you look silly out there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to see it. Then he's just so confident in games. He knows he's what he does well, and he showcases it every night. So that's been pretty special. In the World Juniors, it was him, DC, our equipment manager, and our hockey ops guy were all there for USA. So
Yeah.
I was definitely hoping they would do well. I mean, a well-coached game, and Zeev have a couple points, but I was always hoping for Canada to do well,
Right.
being a Canadian. But it was pretty cool that they were able to win gold, and it was cool for the program here as well to have those guys win it.
Yeah, and another guy on that team, your line mate, sorry, Jack Devine. Both of you guys sit within the top 10 in the NCAA in scoring. Talk to us about your chemistry with Jack and what makes you guys so successful as line mates.
Yeah, I mean, we're the same class. We came in freshman year together. We lived together in the summer. And then we just started playing together last year for the first time near the end of the year, and we kind of built instant chemistry. He's a really good player, really good person as well away from the rink. So I think we connect well. He's got a really good nose for hockey. He knows a lot about the game, and he does what he does best. He puts himself in good positions to get the puck, put the puck in the net, and he's good moving around the ice. So I think we complement each other really well, and then also having McKay Webb starting our line, I think it just allows for a successful recipe.
And kind of in going back to, I want to talk about like your early days at Denver and even before that. With you being a BC kid, your recruiting process, you ultimately choose University of Denver, but what was the whole recruiting process like? Were there other schools that were like heavily in play? And then once you did decide to choose Denver, what was it specifically about, whether the city, the campus, the hockey program, what was specifically that drew you towards, Denver?
Yeah. Being from BC, I mean, all the kids kind of grow up there, and being from Western Canada, it's all about the WHL, and that's where most people want to go play. But for me, I toured a couple schools in my grade 10 year, Denver being one of them and stuff like that, and kind of got my eyes open to college hockey and thought it'd be the best route for me. So then I went through the BCHL and played close to home. And obviously that league is progressing and getting better year after year. And you're seeing guys come out of there and being really successful. So I think it's been pretty cool how they've been able to develop players. And then going through that process, it was a little sticky. I was going to North Dakota originally. Yeah. And then I battled a couple big injuries coming out of junior hockey and stuff like that. So once my recruiting process kind of reopened and Denver was interested, it was kind of a no-brainer for me to say yes. They were one of the schools I originally was like talking to as well. And so it's very fortunate that DC and Tavis and the coaches gave me an opportunity. And then having that coaching staff, having the culture at Denver, the winning tradition, they develop hockey players and people, and the school is obviously really good as well. And Matt Char's our strength and conditioning coach, and he's been really good for me. Like we do really well in the gym as well. So it was just a combination of great athletics, great academics, the hockey culture and tradition, the coaching staff, and ultimately being on a team that's going to push each other every day in practice and want to win a national championship.
Yeah, in growing up and, during this process, even playing before that, you mentioned the BCHL. When was it that you realized that like you had a legitimate chance to play Division I and then ultimately get drafted? Like, was there a point in time where, you were playing in a season, then all of a sudden you kind of thought to yourself, like, holy shit, like I really have a chance to, take this somewhere?
Yeah, probably my second year at Bantam, I thought like we had a really good year. Was going to play midget U18 at Burnaby Winter Club again with like Mako Bolkovic was our head coach, and he played at Wisconsin. And so he knew what college hockey was like, and he knew that was a great experience for him and a good route for us. So that's kind of where he opened our eyes to that route of hockey. And for me, I thought things were going well hockey wise, and I was getting recruited by different colleges and just talking to different people, and thought that would be an option for me, and was pretty fortunate enough to have this opportunity.
Yeah. 2019, you were selected as the 216th pick to the Carolina Hurricanes. Man, what was it like to hear your name called? What was that day like? Obviously to get drafted in the NHL is a huge honor, right? And the best of the best get drafted. What was that day like? What do you remember from that day?
Yeah, obviously very special day. Every kid's dream growing up is to get drafted in the NHL, and to be fortunate enough to have that was really cool. So for me, I was home with my family, kind of watching the TV, waiting to see what was going to happen. And then getting the call from them that I was selected was kind of a dream come true. It was a pretty special moment having like my parents and my sister around me, because obviously you got to attribute all of that success to them as well. It took me to the rink growing up and helped with my hockey career. So it was a special moment for the family, but definitely a cool experience. But, that's kind of the draft. Something you could take off the list now, but, kind of the work begins after that. And
right.
Obviously that's an amazing experience, but the goal is to play in the NHL and have a good career there.
What was the pre-draft process like? Like, did you go to the combine? Did you have to meet with, were there certain teams you met with? Like, I always like asking this question just because I want to, if there's any, like, you hear those bizarre draft questions, right, that, GMs ask, or, reps ask. Did you have any of that, any of those bizarre questions?
I don't have. It was so long ago for me, but I know there was a bunch of interviews kind of leading up to the draft. I don't remember any crazy questions too much. I mean, you kind of fill out different surveys, and there's like psychological surveys and stuff like that, and they'd always have some crazy weird questions, and you have no idea how to answer it if like you're
Right.
putting what you're putting is right or wrong. Um, but yeah, no, I don't remember anything too crazy. But yeah, there was kind of I never went to the combine. Like I was injured that year. I ended up having
Yeah.
surgery after that season, so I missed all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was just the interviews are also really cool. I mean, you're 17 years old and you're talking NHL GMs
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and you're seeing the logos on their chest, and you're like, wow, like this is kind of really happening. This is really cool.
Uh, so you ultimately get drafted by, Carolina. Were there any other teams that you kind of like really thought like, hey, I have a chance to go to this team, that, teams that made you feel really good during, the interview process? Was it a complete shock that you went to Carolina? Like, what did that whole thing look like?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't really have a clue. It
Yeah.
was kind of up in the air. Um, so I was excited that Carolina selected me, but at the time I didn't really think there's one team that I was like, okay, I'll probably go to these guys. It was kind of see what happens and go from there.
So, are there any players in the NHL right now that you kind of try to emulate your game after? Like players that you kind of see a little bit of yourself in? Are there any of those guys in the league right now?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up at Burnaby Winter Club, and we had guys like Matt Barzal, who's only 4 years older than me, and like he was a family friend of ours, so he was always my favorite player growing up. And obviously, his next level is skating. His hands
Yeah.
and
Oh
his
my
vision
God, dude.
are unbelievable. And then
So fast.
yeah, you had guys like Ryan Nugent Hopkins was also a Burnaby Winter Club boy, so and he was a special guy with his vision and stuff like that. Growing up, Pavel Datsyuk was my favorite player. I mean, I'll go back and watch his highlights. I kind of liked him, but Braden Point, another smaller, faster, skilled guy. So just a combination of everybody.
It's so funny you bring up Datsuk, because literally right before you got on, I was on TikTok, and his shootout goal against Chicago, where he kind of slid it back and it was like really delayed, and he just flipped it over the goalie, that just popped up.
Yeah,
And dude, he was unbelievable. He was so fun to watch in his prime.
he was special. There's kind of
So
Bill
gross.
Keener and other skilled guys, but I feel like no one was really like him with the creative stuff that he was able to pull off. And
Yeah, I think he was. I was watching another video too. I think he was some analyst or someone was trying to like said that he could get the puck from Datsuk, and Datsuk just made him look like an idiot for like 5 minutes straight.
yeah.
Um, so this past year, you were involved in a trade that sent David Kasha to the Hurricanes. You get sent to Philly. How did you find out that news? Like, what was your initial reaction to that? Obviously, Philly was just in the news this past week with the Cutter Gauthier stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What was your initial reaction when all that went down?
Yeah, I got the phone call, and for me, it's super exciting. It's a good opportunity for me in Philly, and just talking with the staff in Philadelphia, like I'm super excited. The opportunity there, they've been really good to me. They got a bright future. They got a ton of good prospects, good picks. The team's doing amazing right now under John Tortorella. So I think for me, it's super exciting for the future with them, and it was obviously a really good opportunity, and I'm pretty glad that, unfortunate that happened.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love what Keith Jones and Danny Briere. You mentioned John Tortorella. Like, I feel like they're a team that has gone way above and beyond expectations. You mentioned they have a lot of solid prospects that with a bright future.
Mm-hmm.
So my last question, man, for kids growing up, obviously younger kids that are watching college hockey, watching the pros, what would be your biggest piece of advice, whether it be on ice things, off ice things, that little tips that you would give these kids if they want to take their game to the next level and play in these play high level hockey?
Yeah, I think for me, I love the game. Growing up, I love the game as well. I always had the highlights recorded from the night before, and I'd wake up before school and I'd watch the highlights before I had to leave. And I was pretty fortunate enough that we threw a net in the basement. My parents kind of let me go nuts down there. I'd shooting pucks through the walls. My dad, we just redid the drywall 2 years ago and kind of changed it up. But before it was all carbon. I had the net and the windows were all barred off. And I'd kind of go down there every day and I'd stick handle with the golf ball or I'd shoot pucks. And so for me, it was just the love of the game and enjoying it and having fun with it. I never really felt like a chore. So I'd just say put in the extra work where you can, whether it's, before or after practice, or if you have the opportunity, the ability to kind of do things away from the rink, whether it's stick handle or shoot, or just do whatever you can to elevate your game is what I would say.
So going back, there was one other thing I just remembered. You had gotten the opportunity to go to development camp, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that experience like for you? Because I always like asking the kids that, go back, they're in college and then they get the opportunity to go to dev camp to kind of see, what it's like to be a pro, right, for the week. And what was that experience like for you? And what was your biggest takeaway, whether on ice things or off the ice things you learned?
Yeah, I mean, I missed the first couple in Carolina because of my injury, and then it was COVID. So
yeah,
I just went 2 years ago or whatever it was. But it was cool. You're obviously there with some really good players, and they kind of set that up as like a week for us to absorb as much information as we could. I mean, we had chefs, we had psychologists, we had a bunch of kind of different seminars where we would take as much knowledge as we can and bring it back with us. So then the on ice stuff, we're kind of doing skills, but you pick up things from other players. Obviously, there's really good players there, and they kind of teach you what it's like to be a pro. And it's an everyday thing. It's not like you can work hard a couple of days a week. It's you got to bring it every day and try to get better every day. And that's kind of what it takes if you want to get to the next level.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, Massimo, man, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day. I know you're extremely busy with hockey, school, so I can't thank you enough for coming on Drop the Mitts and talking about your hockey career.
No.
Yeah, man. I wish you and the boys best of luck. You guys are so fun to watch. I'm here in Mass, and I always love every time I can catch a Denver game. You guys are so fun to watch. So man, can't thank you enough, and best of luck to you and the boys the rest of the year.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, man. That was Massimo Rizzo of University of Denver, alternate captain. Unbelievable kid. If you guys ever get the opportunity to watch University of Denver, whether ESPN, it's on TV, definitely check them out. They're an absolute wagon. But yeah, that concludes today's episode, episode 30 of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, brought to you in partnership with Primetime Production. I'm your host, Chris Davis, and everyone, you guys stay safe out there. Take care.